lies, and it was just who they were. And God more or less tells them, I'm going to expose you, and the world is going to see this. And what we see here is not only that, but it says, and shall seek comforters for thee, meaning there will be no one there to comfort you. There will be no sympathy for you because you will be exposed for what you are and what you've done. So that's ultimately what we see is what's coming toward them. In verse number 8, he gives an example of the town of the city of No. This is found in Jeremiah chapter 46, verse 25. If you want to look that up, you can. But it talks about how they are such a great city. It gives them some things about them, about the rivers that they had around them. And we know, especially in this modern day time, or this time, biblical time, water was very precious. It was very valuable. This city of No had all kinds of water. It was all around them. They had seas on one side, seas on the other. It says that Ethiopia and Egypt were her strength, and it was infinite, but put and living was their help, meaning they had everything. But if you read on into Jeremiah, we see that they did not make it either. Verse 10 mentions this, yet was she carried away. So he reminds them in the past of this great city in Jeremiah's day, the city of No, or however they pronounce that had all this power, all this strength, all this worldly stuff. But yet they could not stand against God. And that should teach us today in our life that even in our own power and our own might and our own strength, we cannot stand against the things of God. And it should humble us to the point of knowing we need God and we need His presence. We need His power. We need Him in our life in everything that we do. Because here we see the example of Nineveh and we see the example of No, of these great and mighty cities that will ultimately be brought to naught. More or less, when you think you're something, you're really nothing. And that's kind of what we see here in these towns, and what he's reminding them of is this city that once thought they were great, but it says her young children were dashed into pieces at the top of all the streets. They were cast lots for honorable men. So what we see in this particular case is they were literally gambling for some of the leadership or some of the men in the town. And all the great men were bound in chains. So everything they thought they had was mighty was brought to naught. And I believe it's a great lesson for us today, is when we think we have the abilities and the power and the strength to live on our own, that is when God will bring us to our knees. In verse 11, look at what it says here. It says, thou also shalt be drunken, meaning, they're talking about the Ninevites again. Thou shalt be hid, thou also shalt seek strength because of thy enemy. So he sees all of a sudden they're going to be coming in, this battle, this armies that are going to come in to do this. And he tells them that all thy strongholds shall be like fig trees, with the figs ripe. If they be shaken, they shall even fall to the mouth of the eater. We see that even the strongest defense will be made weak, because God is with them, using these other nations to bring judgment upon them. So they had all these great strongholds. But listen to this. In verse number 13, it says, by thy people in the midst of thee are women, the gates of thy land shall be set wide open unto thy enemies. The fire shall devour thy bars. Think about this. Even in some of the greatest battles, think about